If weed seeds fall into the lawn and produce more weeds, then grass seed heads that are mowed will germinate and grow grass. Nope, they won't. Hybrid varieties of turf produce seed heads that are sterile, which means they can't reproduce. And even if they could, the seed heads need several months to mature to even be able to germinate. And I have a feeling that you A, wouldn't let that happen because it looks bad, or B, simply don't have the patience. I mean, let's think about it. Most of us are looking for ways to get rid of those unsightly seed heads, not ways to let them hang around even longer. We're debunking 5 common lawn myths in this video here on Budget Lawns. These are things that you'll likely hear often online, but simply aren't true. If you hear them, ignore them and move on, or you'll just waste your valuable time and money. Like with this next one, returning grass clippings will increase thatch. Wrong again. This was a widely accepted misconception decades ago, but further studies have shown that thatch is mainly comprised of rhizomes, stolons, stems, and living roots, not grass clippings. Mulching when mowing actually returns nutrients back into the lawn and results in big savings. You'll save on fertilizer, because up to 25% of your lawn's nitrogen needs is right there in those grass clippings. You'll also save time when you're mowing by not having to wrestle with those bags that you paid for, which equals more money saved. So do you see how the benefits of mulching keep stacking up, but the thatch isn't? I did an entire video dedicated to what the research says on this topic. I'll leave a link to that one in the description below if you want to dive even deeper. The third myth is easy to believe because it sounds like a simple fix-all to our lawn problems. I mean, how many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, it just needs more water"? Yeah, me too. Unfortunately, a lot. Not so fast. Lawn damage is usually a result of overwatering, not underwatering. You know that yellow nutsedge that just won't go away? Well, yeah, because your yard's too wet. Or how about that fungus that just sticks around no matter how much you irrigate because you think it's some sort of drought and heat stress? Newsflash, it's not. You're causing it. Your grass really only needs to be irrigated outside of rainfall during the hottest, driest months of the year. It's typically June through September. Otherwise, water the turf when it shows signs of needing it, like when the leaf blades are getting real thin and turning a silvery blue, or when you walk across the lawn and your footprints don't rise back up. And let those sprinklers take a break every once in a while, for crying out loud. When you do, you'll not only watch your water bill drop, but you'll also see some of those issues that have been giving you a major headache go away. Speaking of going away, I am a champion at trapping moles, and I'll leave a video linked below to prove it. But that brings us to another myth. Moles indicate a grub infestation. Get rid of the grubs, and you'll get rid of the mole, they say. Not exactly. Did you know it's more difficult to have grub damage in your lawn than most people think? I did a video a couple years back to provide a visual for what the grub threshold per square foot looks like. It's also linked below. I've had moles, but never a grub problem. I do have lots of earthworms though, and that's what the moles really want. Now, it's not like they're going to pass up a grub if there's one right there to eat, but it's not what they're on the hunt for. Earthworms, among many other insects, are highly beneficial to the health of soil. So rushing out to use an insecticide to kill the grubs just because you have a mole isn't always the best idea. There's a good chance that the grubs will be gone, but the mole won't be. So you need to get real good at effectively setting some sort of trap to remove the mole and not have to use chemicals that kill the good critters. So far, you've already saved a bunch of time and money if you ignore these lawn myths. But you'll save the most on this last one. Mow short to mow less. Sounds like a good strategy, huh? Well, not so much. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The lower you go, the more you'll mow. Low-cut turf requires more input in the way of applications and maintenance to achieve that golf course look. And that means extra time, money, and effort on your part. However, if a lawn is cut too tall with little to no input, it will become less dense and have a scraggly look. What we're shooting for is that sweet spot for our grass type. Mowing at the optimum height and following the 1/3 rule will result in the healthiest stand of turf that can be mowed less often. That's usually about every 4 to 5 days or twice a week for best results. When you dial this in, you'll have your thickest, most beautiful lawn ever with few inputs. Isn't that what we're all hoping for at the end of the day anyway? I know I am. Let me know about you. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.